We'll take that out. Okay. Let me go live over here. All right, perfect. We're live. Thank you for joining the Darian Jackson Show. We're on episode 9 already. It's kind of crazy to think that I've already done 9 episodes of this over here. I've got my episodes, all the past ones, over on a couple of different platforms over here. You can always watch us live on Facebook over here. Have a live stream of the recording, so you can hear all the little bits and pieces over here that I might take out during the post-production over here with it. And then you can also check us out on iTunes, Google Play, and I've got a couple other different podcast formats I'm trying to get onto. I've been working with trying to get on Spotify for a while, but they're a pain in the butt to have to get. They don't talk back to you at all.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's a pain. So hopefully soon I'll be on there over here. But today we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. I wanted to talk mainly about just how this whole entire our culture seems to have so much different types of different sexuality types now. It seems like they keep coming up with these new names and new different things here and there that it's kind of getting rather confusing here. So we'll be talking a little bit about that.
Worms for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But it'll be kind of fun. It's going to be fun to see how this all is over here. But I was reading here today, or actually yesterday, I was reading on this this forum. I look over on Reddit all the time, and I see a lot of different things over here. But I came across this this new thing that these teenage, usually men, are calling themselves, and they're calling themselves incels. For all those people that don't know, I guess incels. I have a couple of things I'm pulling up over here really quick. So let me switch over to my screen over here for my Facebook Live.
Dick.
Yeah, pretty much. Well,
You're
or
a
really,
dick.
really nerdy guys. Like, you see some guys, like, they are not getting laid. You know, like, I mean, it's just they're fat, they're ugly, they're everything that society has dictated them to not, you know, that's not appealing to women. And like, it's halfway, in my opinion, women's or at least feminists' fault for demasculizing men in such a way where now we're having problems where guys are over here like, well, we are what you want, and then they're like, no, we don't want you. And so now I think that's the problem that they're having, is they're just not, they want to have sex and they just can't. I call it just pussying out, I think, though. It's like, you've got to work for it, man.
Yeah, it ain't easy, man. You think it's just gonna walk up to you? It's not.
But they want it like everything else in the society, where it's just like, you know, just,
Given. They just want it.
yeah, they want sex on demand, I guess. I don't
Right.
know. But apparently there was a situation that arose in Canada where somebody self-proclaimed to be an incel, and then he posted on Facebook saying, you know, all these incels, you know, I'm this and that, and how horrible his life was because he's an incel, and that society has made him this. And that he went over and ran over a whole bunch of people in his car, killing like 10 people and like injuring like 15. And all due to this whole entire incel thing. You know, I don't know if he was just trolling. A lot of times people like to do that, but I mean, he posted it up over there, and so now it's becoming an issue when I don't think it really should be an issue. You know?
Nah, come on. You. If you can't. Part of being a man, okay, is if you get laid, okay, but if you don't get laid, be man enough to accept it and try again.
Yeah,
okay?
If at first you don't succeed, try again.
But then, hey, dude, okay, there's answers for this. If you can't get laid,
make money. No, I'm joking.
oh yeah, you can make money, but hey, that's what strip clubs are for. I'm just saying, and there's some really, really ghetto ones. If you want to get laid, there you go. That's what people do all the time.
Right. That's pretty much what they're trying to say, is like, you know, hey, there's other ways of doing this. You know, there's other different ways. But now it's becoming weird where they're like, hey, what if AI is the new thing that's going to bring up where all these people who can't get laid over here, now they don't have to worry because they can get their dick sucked by a robot. What do you like? And then, like, okay, over in Japan, it's a very big problem now. They have their population. They're not having kids, and so their population is now at a stagnant kind of situation where now the men are sexually frustrated, and they're just not really going after the women there at all. They'd rather just jerk off to their what's that
Hentai.
yeah, like the weird cartoon stuff, you know, where they're over there getting off on that, and then that's becoming a big multi-million-dollar company now, like industry. I mean,
yep.
like I mean that's a big one over there. And then now all these robot places where they're trying to give like hand jobs with robots over there. Where, I don't know.
That's just crazy.
This is where it's getting kind of weird, dude. Okay. And then all these weird self-proclaiming sexualities. Now, I don't think everything's all set in stone with, like, your whole sexual preference-wise and stuff like that. I don't think everything's all, like, just so cookie-cut like everybody likes to make it out to be. I think people are more dynamic in nature. I don't really, per se, believe in everything. Like, my religion is a Christian, and so I don't really believe in everything being okay, but I do believe that there are people that believe that they are homosexual or they are like kind of different types of but
I believe they believe that doesn't make them right though.
No, I know it exactly, but they do have that, But now they're having so many different new terms where it's just kind of getting kind of out of hand. Where it's like you can't even now keep track of all the different.
Yeah, you can't.
No, and it's like it's almost impossible. And
but
then
then
it's
again, hey, if we want to do that, let's roll with it.
Right.
You know what? Don't call me he. Don't call me sir. My pronoun is daddy.
Oh,
right? Everyone's
God.
gonna refer to me as daddy.
I'm Jedi, and then at nighttime I'm a Sith fucking Lord. Okay.
There you go.
I'm gonna start putting on.
We got Jedi and Daddy on here tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
How's it going, y'all?
Yeah, you just call me Jedi DJ.
Just call me Daddy.
But like it is ridiculous, like self-proclaiming titles like that. Like I understand where they're getting at. Everyone kind of wants to be called what they ever want to be called and stuff like that. But it's kind of getting ridiculous to a point where you can take such offense to it. Like I remember my brother. He worked at Chick-fil-A for a little bit, and he was talking about seeing a very masculine looking very masculine looking woman. Or I guess he wanted to be called a he, or I don't know. That's where it gets confusing. See,
yeah.
But he's like, "Oh, hey, here you go." Or he said something, used a pronoun, and like made the dude really pissed off. He's like, "What?" And he looked like a girl. So my brother thought he was a girl. And so that's where it's now getting really confusing. Where everything's now just like, "What do you say?"
Yeah.
Like what you're like, "Hey, you." Does that offend you?
Or some people see, but that's where you get where it does get confusing is because you go to someone else and you say, "Hey, you," and they'll be like, "I'm a lady. Refer to me as a lady. Do you not know proper respect?" You'll get that. Or I'm a man. Refer to me as a sir.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Well, to go back on this incel thing over here, I'll kind of pop up the whole Reddit post that I was looking at over here. The Reddit post that I was
again.
Not as much as meth, but yeah.
I don't know. I haven't had meth, so I can't compare.
No, just have some Adderall, and then you'll get that. I don't know.
So you would rather have meth over sex?
See, the thing is, though, I'm a different one. Like I was gonna go
answer
into
the question, Darian.
I was gonna
or
go
Jedi.
I was gonna Jedi Darian. I'm
Jedi
Sith
Darian,
right now,
answer
motherfucker. No, but I was going to go into that a little bit. So I do kind of, I had a situation where I thought of myself, kind of associated myself in a term that I like that kind of got broadcast a little bit more of, I was an asexual, a person that is more not lenient towards either sex or anything like that. You just not interested in sex in any kind of way, shape, or form.
Say it again, because it sounds like you're saying sexual, but
asexual.
Asexual.
I'll pop it up really quick over here. I had no sex drive for a long time.
Because you're a bitch.
I'm not right. No, and so it kind of irritated me. I did feel frustrated for a long time because, like, when you're a kid and you're told, oh yeah, don't look at a woman like don't be all don't go look at a woman. Like, we're both in a Christian family where
Yeah.
our parents were like, don't go looking at a woman down their skirt or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no. And so I think I mentally I associated that as bad. Like, where it's just like, and so it just never appealed to me.
Not
like,
sexually objectifying.
Yeah, I'm not sexually objectifying, and then at the same time, I just never saw any kind of purpose at all. I saw it as like a stronghold for a lot of people, and it just never was for me. And so it kind of was irritating, given that I played football with y'all, I was all out with y'all, and like 90% of all guy conversation is sex. People were talking about it all the time.
Ass, look at that.
And then like everything,
damn.
and I kind of felt like I was out of the loop of something. I was out of something that I never really understood very much, and I really didn't care to. No, I was just like, whatever. Now, not to say I wanted a relationship with somebody. I wanted the spiritual aspect of it that comes with having somebody to complete me, per se. But I could never foresee myself in a sexual situation with a person over there. I just never had any desire for it. So I remember I had my ex over here for a little bit, and I remember I was talking with Eric, and Eric was just talking, and then of course he's the guy thing, so he's like, "Oh yeah, you ever think about tapping that?" I was just like, "No." And then it kind of hit me like really big time when I had a girlfriend. I was just kind of like, I never thought of that. And I couldn't even think about it. Like I just never, it was not a thing.
I'd agree. Like, I'm 23 now, so like I've been through a few relationships, but in the beginning, yes, like, you didn't see it. I didn't see it that way. When I saw or was interested in a woman, it wasn't because I wanted to tap. That didn't even enter my mind. Now,
Right.
as I have been in society and I've made mistakes, and like I do see that a little bit,
Right.
and it's not necessarily a good thing. It's just the effect of society on me, but then again, I can separate from, as far as, hey, she's got a good body, and I don't think it's a bad thing if a woman's got a good body. She's got a good body. Like,
Right.
that is what it is. But then there's having more than just a body, because, hey, the Kardashians show you can buy that shit, but you can't buy the inner thing,
Exactly. And it was just something I couldn't associate with. Like, I could not figure it out. Like, I tried like really hard, and it actually made me really depressed for a little bit. I got to a point where I was just like, I could never like be with somebody, because I could never figure that out. Like, it wasn't a thing, So I remember actually the first time actually really figuring out what it meant to be like more sexual with something or somebody like that, where I had a mushroom trip. The first time I ever took mushrooms, I took a whole bunch of them. I took about maybe 3 grams. Only drug I ever really did. That's the only drug I kind of like still too. I'm not for it or anything like that. I would never impose it to anyone else. It's just that's my kind of drug that I liked over there, for the fact that it helped me through that situation. It helped me take myself out of my ego. And I looked back down on the situation that I was having, where I was kind of frustrated at myself for not being able to feel such feelings. And then I got to a point where I could open myself up, and it was like something in my brain opened up, where I could like understand now what it was about. Like, I can't even explain it. It's like it was like I had like almost like a mental illness of some sort. I don't know what it was, but like something clicked in my head where I was just like, oh, that part of me needs to be there too. And then I came to a realization about sexuality and how important it is, because I had no idea of any kind of importance of anything. I didn't even associate it with anything except for pretty much all bad things. Like, if you think about all the horrible things that ever happened, and just take the Bible for instance, or wars in general, or everything's about the pussy, man. Everything. Like, it's all about who has the bigger dick, and they're smacking each other trying to have the biggest dick over here. And for somebody that I like to be thinking myself as more progressive, where I like to try to let's evolve to a better state instead of just self-wallow in the same shit that we've been doing over and over again. So I couldn't comprehend why exactly people were so, and I found out that it's just it's just another drug for people, you know. It's it's an easy drug.
Sex is a drug. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
fully believe that.
like with all the dopamine that and everything that comes out with it, it's just another drug, but people associate with so much more, you know. And then there's also a spiritual aspect of it, I believe, too, where you can bond with somebody in such a spiritual way too. That I found out later on, you know. But it just never occurred to me. Like I couldn't physically or mentally just grasp that concept. It was all logical, you know, and it just didn't make any sense. So I can see where being in these different situations where you think you're like an asexual, you think you're an incel, you think that you're having these different situations where you don't know, you're sexually aggravated, you don't know what you're going for. And now you're being poured all this weirdness. It's like back in the day, you were either, you know, straight or you're not. Now it's like you're either straight, not. You can bounce back and forth between straight or not. You can be over here. You can, you know. And now it's like it's a confusing situation where I think with at least kids wise, it's going to be so much more different.
Dude, we're messing up our kids. Like,
but at the same time, they think they're not messing them up. See. They think by giving them these situations where they can become themselves, you don't. And at some point, I see where they're getting at, but then it's confusing as fuck to a kid. Like you can't.
You ever take a kid to a candy shop? Does the kid pick one candy?
Right.
No, the kid picks the entire store. You have to tell the kid, hey, all right, you have to decide between this one and this one. You can't have everything.
Right.
Because give a kid an option, he doesn't know. He just. All of it's fine.
Yeah, and I don't know where it's gonna come society wise, where we go down to, like where all this is going. You know, where there's so much confusion. Like it shouldn't be a confusing situation at all.
I think it's the end times, man. I think the Bible kind of sets it up. Like, if this is my belief. If you don't agree with this, say it's perfectly fine. But I think the Bible speaks of an end time. And it's when sin plagues the world, and you know, rumors of war, rumors of just everything. You know, it's the worst of the worst, and I think we're kind of seeing it. And
yeah, but to be honest, dude, that's always been.
Yeah, and I would agree because like,
be.
if you look at World War II, like you could if I put myself back in that time, I probably would have thought Adolf Hitler was the Antichrist.
No, or like let's go back to even Herod, or not Herod. God damn it! Who was that guy? Ancient Greece type area, the time frame where the New Testament was kind of rolling through at that time. They had Nero. Yeah. You would thought that he was like this kind of crazy guy that was all over here killing people that ever believed in Jesus. And so it's always seemed like that. It's always gotten to the extreme. They had crazy gay stuff going on there. They had craziness that was going on in their society too. So it's like,
but then you also think of the Bible shows examples of. Like, I know we think the gay thing and all that is only now. It's been around, and it's been heavily present in the world before, because it speaks of it before the flood in the Bible.
Right.
Sin plagued the world. Well, it was speaking of that. Then you also have Sodom and Gomorrah. With Sodom, it was called Sodom.
Right.
And what happened to that? It was swallowed up. So... something's gonna happen because God doesn't let things go unpunished.
I think actually I've kind of changed my opinion on what I think God does a little bit. I think God kind of just steps back and has let the world spin. I don't really know exactly how much he involves himself in everything that we do. In comparison, people they're like, oh, this happened because God did this, and then at the same time it doesn't look like it all the time. You can say that about a lot of things, so it's very difficult to pinpoint what exactly is God and what exactly is just spinning of motion.
Well, I think it's because God is not a dictator. There's no predestination. God allows you to decide what you're going to do. He hasn't predestined that you're going to be a follower of him or not.
We'll see certain people, like I think the Lutherans, they think of the predestination. And at some point, if you think about it in the whole, there is a predestination in a sense where he knows what's going to, or at least to them, he knows what's going to happen. So not to say that you should give up, that it is I don't know.
It's predestined. I'll take that back. It's not predestined because he's not forcing you to do it, but he's a all-knowing God, so therefore he knows what you are going to do.
Right. I don't know. I think that's just a slippery slope that people go down, and then they try to make sense out of something they can never make sense out of.
It is confusing because if you think of it, because it's one of those things that God doesn't necessarily tell us everything. So you kind of have to think about it, and it's confusing. It's one of those things I would like to ask him one day. But if you start to overthink it, it's confusing because you get like, well, okay, so God, if you know that this person is not going to follow you, then why did you create him? Because if that's predestined, it's like, why did you even create him if you know he's not going to serve you, love
like
you?
The atheist would say, I find that the atheists too I like to listen to a lot of atheistical thought process because I want to know what they think. I want to know what people that don't agree with me think, because I'm not an asshole who wants to just listen to the same people that say what I want them to say over and over and over and over and over again. So I like to listen to some atheistical stuff over there too. And what they say makes sense too, but they also they're over there like, fuck you, God, and then nothing happens to them, and then they're over there like, well, we're destroying this over here, and you're still not doing anything. So it does kind of, I don't know, it brings a question sometimes where it's just like, I don't know where God is and everything, but he does. He created the person over there, and it's like something that.
Because he creates them and lets them do what they're gonna do, but then. He never quits. He never quits trying to make them yours, because because there's people who go their whole life and they've heard of Christianity, and like a good example would be Paul. Paul was against them. Paul persecuted, martyred, killed, executed Christians. Right. That was his job, and yet he became one of the greatest apostles there was.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty. God is a forgiving God. He's a God of mercy. It's not A, B, and C. It's not already there. He's so forgiving. You can be the worst of the worst.
I think the only problem I have with that is like, you would have talked to somebody 200 years from now about the same God that you're talking about, or that we're talking about, and they would have said that he would condemn, and so now we have this whole grace thing, and then it's just like, well, which one was it? Is it grace? Is it this? It's like a mixture of both. You read the Old Testament, you see people drowning because of all the different people, or having hell opened up on them. God's a God of grace, and then at the same time he can destroy you.
He will punish. He will.
But then he won't punish certain people, then he will punish certain. So you can see where there's a little loop back over there where it doesn't make sense, and I don't think we will ever make sense out of something like that. But I think the problem that people have is that they want to make sense of something that's so out of their scope of knowledge. Like, an infinite God his knowledge is so infinite that our finite minds can't comprehend exactly his infiniteness, like, which is a hard thing to just let go of, where it's just like, it's totally against nature. Just fuck it, let go of everything, and
well, it's because that's where faith comes in.
Well, that's what every single religion says, though. That's where faith comes in, and then they'll be bombing people.
That's why religion is popular, because it's people coming to the realization, I don't know everything, so
right.
I'm gonna have faith. Now we put faith in different things, and someone's right or someone's wrong. Everyone thinks they got it right. Faith and
ignorance is two different things too, and I think that's what people forget about. Is they like to just be like, oh, I have faith, and then they can just ignore everything else because of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you've got to have the capability of being able to accept that there are certain situations that arise where you don't know about it, and you have to say, I don't know. You can't just slap a faith card on it and be like, that's it, and then no matter what, it's just drowned under faith. You can't just be ignorant to arguments, because there are certain arguments where it's like, yeah, no, I do see where you're coming from. I don't believe it per se, because now I do have to have faith in this certain situation. But I think people just slap that faith card on everything, so then they don't have to fight an argument.
I think there's a verse in the Bible, and I'm terrible at remembering chapter and verses, but it says along the line of, be ready to give an answer to every man that asketh you a question of the something that's in you with meekness and fear. So you're supposed to be able to give an answer,
like to give an answer to anyone. Let me see. I'm gonna pull that Bible verse up really quick. It's I think it's 1 Peter. Yep, there it is. 3:15.
Yeah, 1 Peter 3.
All right, so. So, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I don't know. It's very difficult to argue an argument with. I guess it's not an argument. It's one-sided to the nth degree. You can't.
That's where you go when you meet someone like that. You understand that person believes differently, and you explain your viewpoint, and you just leave it. You leave it at that, and you let your life be the biggest example.
Right. I think that's the biggest thing, though, is just that, how everyone kind of picks up with, oh, I know a gay person, so that means all gay people are good,
Yeah.
Or I know a gay person, so there's no way that they can all be doing this, or I know a person that does this. Everyone kind of associates a person to a situation. Anyone can associate a person of some sort of faith to a negativity of, oh, well, he was a child molester, and he was a priest, and now it's just like, now that's covered over there. So you can always associate somebody with a situation. I think that as human natures, we all do that. No matter what we try not to, but we all associate people with our opinions. So it's like we want to follow something. And like, you're supposed to only follow God. You're not supposed to be following men all the time over there, but that's just kind of what we do, and it's like our nature. And it's like, you've got to follow God, yes, all the way, and that's what we're supposed to do, but we're still following men in certain situations, and if they go down, then a lot of people even, they get caught up in the whole motion of just like, well, why was I even believing that now, and so and then people can just attack you because of it.
That's why you have to discern in what they're saying, and not just make it yours, not just follow someone. Make it your own.
I think that's the hard part, that most people don't. Most people don't make their own, like, they're like, oh, I am this religion. And I'm like, I don't really like to be associated with certain types of people. Like I said before on my podcast, I like to be called a Christian because that's what I am. I'm a Christ follower. And that's just my personal opinion. I can be wrong. And I have the right to be wrong, as do everyone else has the right to be wrong with other situations. You have the right to be wrong to be an atheist, or you have the right to be wrong to be a Muslim. The only time that it ever has a problem is when it imposes on other people. And this is where it kind of crosses the line, where everyone wants to coexist all together, but there's just not very, very, very. It's not an easy thing to do. Muslims and Christians can't coexist when blatantly obvious they are told to destroy the infidels, per se. Atheists can't coexist with Christians, because in atheistical thinking, a lot of times it's more, we're going to evolve, we need to evolve, because if we evolve, then we'll get to a point with science where we can now have all the answers. Well, if Christians are dragging those answers from being taught, or dragging those answers from being ever figured out, now you're in competition with science, and so now they're fighting. no matter what. And so the atheists hate the Christians just for the fact that they're dragging them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Christians hate the atheists because they're dragging them from being able. So no matter what, there will always be this dragging force that you have. No matter if you still can love each other,
Yeah.
but the ultimate outcome is against each other.
Yeah.
No matter what you believe in, the ultimate outcome is you against everyone else, or your religion or your beliefs against everyone else's over there, and you're going to be in some sort of clique. And it's like click, 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 different cliques here and there, and these are the people that kind of believe in my sub clique, the Baptist, and then the really Southern Baptist, or the lenient Baptist, or and you have all these little subcategories that all kind of sub off, and then they will never all coexist in the same way that everyone wants us to, because it's impossible.
And I think that's okay, because at the end of the day, you be the person that you want to be.
But I think the problem comes when you try to coexist, like when you can't.
I don't think you have to try to coexist to coexist. So I go to work. There's some people I work, they're Muslims, or I have actually a good friend who's Hindu,
right?
And we hang out. We've done things together.
Right.
We'll go running. We'll go walking. But at the end of the day, like, we believe total different things.
Yeah,
and that's okay. So we don't try to impart like our beliefs on each other. We'll talk about things, and we'll be like, well, the Christian believes this, and she's like, well, Hindu believes this. And it's okay. We're not forcing anything on each other.
No, but at the end of the day, you are going against each other, whether you like it or not. You're going to be enforcing your own personal beliefs upon everything that you do, based upon your voting, based upon your lifestyle, based upon everything that you do, every kind of business that you give out. And so no matter what, it will still be a pulling force against that kind of situation.
I don't think so.
I think so. And society-wise, I don't know. I guess we can disagree on that one, but I see where it can become a problem. Where would you rather go to a Christian or to someone that's of some other kind of faith? Like certain people go out of their way to do that, but we're more inclined to.
That's where it's wrong. If you're judging, and this is what I hate about it.
Yep.
Because I grew up. I didn't go to church, so
yeah.
There's some things I disagree with from the whole idea of church.
Right.
So when people say Christian, there's a general ideology of what a Christian is, and it's usually in this day and age, you go to church, you're supposed to be really all these things that go with it, and then you believe this.
Yeah. I
don't fit that mold. I have my own opinions on certain things.
Right.
So I want you, when I say Christian, I want people, don't put me in a box of the Christian box.
Right.
Get to know me. Know what I believe. And I'm going to do the same thing with you. You say you're a Muslim, I'm not going to assume you have a bomb attached to you and you're ready to blow this place up. Okay?
Right.
I'm going to do that to you. And I'm going to be like, and there was a Muslim at work, and I wanted to know, like, hey, so he would be like, yeah, I'm not eating today. I'm like, why? What is this for? How often do you do it?
Right.
Because I want to know why you do it. Like, it's part of who you are.
Right.
As a person, and I think we all owe that to each other, is to understand who you are, and that maybe that what you do is not just it's not just because you're more than just a Muslim. I am more than just a Christian. I am Jared.
Right.
A follower of Christ. You are, and if you're a Muslim, you are blah blah blah, the follower of Muhammad.
Yeah.
And each one walks his walk differently.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. It's like if they walk it to the point where or I guess what people assume they're supposed to, it would look entirely different than what everyone's doing currently right now, and it's weird. But it still goes against each other. It's like Mormons are trying to convert people. Christians are trying to convert people, Muslims are trying to convert people, atheists are trying to destroy beliefs that people don't have, so then they can,
okay,
know.
But here's what I got to say to that. People are doing that,
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to say I'm not, because at the end of the day, we all will die, right? And
Right.
especially if you believe in religion, you believe in a life after death, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means when it's all said and done, we're gonna find out. We're gonna see who was right and who was wrong.
Right.
So for me to live my life forcing my belief on you is in a way pointless, because at the end we're gonna see. I'm gonna let my light shine through who I am and what I do, and then at the end of the day, you make a judgment on what you want to do, because I'm gonna make a judgment on what I'm gonna do. And
Right.
when we die, we'll see who is right and who is wrong. And I'm comfortable enough in what I believe to bet, and that's what I'm doing. I'm betting my life on it. My life after life, my after
Right.
death. And you have to be comfortable enough to do the same thing.
And that's the thing too. But then if you're going against, like, you're contradicting, like a yin yang, like where it's just like you can't. It's like magnets over here where you can't. You're never going to have that middle ground that everyone's looking so hard for, where everyone can just conjoin together and just like bleed over, and we can all go to church, and it's never going to be that way.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be that way.
Yes, but that's what's pushing. That's what's pushing for everybody. That it seems like you're getting a watered down gospel in comparison to what was 200 years ago.
But that's what's wrong, because
You're getting-
also it's not motivated.
You're getting a watered down Islamic gospel. You're getting a watered down. The only thing that's maybe growing a little bit easier is maybe the atheistical thinking, because they get more science up on their stuff. So then now it's like, oh, you have a ton more arguments that you can come up with. But everyone else seems to be watering down just a little bit more, based upon wanting to all coexist. But there really is no such thing. There's no way you can. It's just totally against each other. There's. In my opinion, you can. I mean, I believe you're supposed to love everybody. I think every kind of religion sort of teaches that you're supposed to love people. There's certain ones that are kind of more against it than others, or certain ones that don't show it in the same kind of way. But you're not supposed to. It's human nature where we just know to not do wrong to others. Where our conscience will
Conscience of good
we'll let it go in there. But I think people are just destroying their conscience now too.
Yeah.
Where
brainwashing it.
I mean, everyone's getting brainwashed to some state or fashion of something's brainwashing someone. And I think that's what people don't understand is you're going to be fueling yourself with something, whether you like it or not. And if you're trying to go with an unbiased opinion about certain things, and you're trying to pull yourself out, you're kind of now drawing yourself into you're fueling something else entirely, and it's something new. I think that's coming out.
I think that's why you have to always be able to look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to be challenger yourself. You have to challenge your own beliefs. Not just, okay, yeah, I believe this for 10 years, but why do I believe this? Why can I look in here and show myself why I believe this?
Exactly.
Because you have something on your computer screen that said, today I believe, this morning I woke up and believed this.
Yep.
But my opinion has changed twice today.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because that's life. Life changes, and it causes you to change.
Exactly. The only thing that we'll drop it off with this point over here too, is to stay malleable, to stay moldable, to not harden so hard to where now you're beating someone like a brick that's been hardened over there. I'm not trying to state to be just Play-Doh where you just can just mush around and you don't have any backbone of any sort, but to be able to be wrong, to be able to see yourself from a different perspective, look at yourself and see what they're seeing inside of you, and then now going. I think there's a name for it. God damn it, I can't think of it right now. There's a name for it where you can hold two separating opinions and then hold both of them and see them for both what they're good for, and then you choose one, of course, but you can see the good in both of it. You can see where the opinions line up, and you can't say either one is right, but you choose one, and that's the one that you're going with. Yeah. Where you can hold two contradicting ideas and continue on with it. Mm-hmm. Where it's not going to be like something that's is going to. You can be like, okay, I get where you're getting at. I have no answer to that. but I'm going to choose this one because this path is my comfort zone.
Yeah.
This is where I was raised over here. This is where I believe my heart feels like it's going this way. But then your heart doesn't. And so that's where we go. But being able to see that, acknowledging it, and not just trying to shut out any kind of weird light that you don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And just keeping, I don't like the thought of keeping an open mind, because an open mind is one that just gets poured full of shit, you know?
If you stand for nothing, you will fall for everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what people are doing right now. They don't know what they stand for, so there's like little twigs are just being snapped. You need to get a backbone. You need to know what you know and be able to, like you said, just to give an account of what you know. And then at the same time, be able to see someone else's opinion and respect them in a certain way where you want to know why. I want to know why everyone believes what they believe, because I really do love people. I want to know why someone can contradict what I believe in so hard where they're now being an Islamic person or being someone that's going to go and do something that is so radical, or something that they can believe so hard at, where in comparison to me, I'm not as hard in my situation or my religion as them, but then I'm saying that they're wrong, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting thing. It's a little weird dynamic that we have, but
I know this, for this podcast, for me, I'll listen to it again, and sometimes I debate what I say on the podcast. I'm like, do I really believe, am I right? Because I'll then rethink it.
Yeah.
I think that's good, and that's what I like about this podcast, because it makes me open up about things maybe I usually wouldn't voice my ideas, and then it makes me really. Do you really believe that?
Like at least the Bible says too, it's just like iron sharpeneth iron.
Mm-hmm.
Then also you gotta put it in the fire, and the fire hurts, man. And the fire is gonna mold you into what you're gonna be. And the fire is just like having these situations. You're not supposed to run away from having to discuss what you believe. Even if you believe nothing, if you don't know what you believe, then now you have the opportunity of figuring out what you believe and refining it and refining it into something that's precious to you alone, and that makes you a better person for not only society's sake but for your own. So then you're not having these weird problems that I think all these people have with depression now, and they have all these weird problems with their relationships, and they haven't quite figured out who they are. They haven't quite centered themselves in what they believe in, and they're just so just whimsically coming around, swaying between, oh, I believe this, and then society goes and swings it back over here, and oh, now we believe this. Oh, we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't really care about other people's feelings. I do care to the point where it's like, okay, I do care about it, but if you're believing bullshit, I'm not going to not say what I'm going to say anyway, because I have that right. Everyone has that right to state something, and if it offends you, then that's okay, good. That means that you disagree. That just means that we can agree. We just have to agree to disagree, and I don't think people are allowing that anymore. Nowadays, more than ever, I think it's more under attack. But I thank you for every time that you come out here and give me. I like all the opportunities that we have together over here, and kind of hashing out a little bit of what we believe. And it's always something that you think about, you think you know, and then you change a little bit here and there, and then you're just refining, and then you swing back and forth. And that's what life is. It's just a matter of no one knows anything. No one knows what's going on. Everyone thinks they do, but at the same time, we could all be wrong, and then we're doing something, and it was just some other guys laughing at us like they don't know, or this could be a computer program for all we know,
right?
Like you don't know
the game of life.
Yeah, and so being able to say that's what I want. I want to have that capability of being able to say, this is what I believe, but I have the right to be wrong, and so do you, and we have to just refine whatever we are, Yep. So, no, you got to take off, man. Thank you for joining me for the podcast over here for a quick one. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day over here on the podcast. And if you have any kind of questions or anything like that, be sure to comment on them. You can also check out my podcast on iTunes. I'm on Google Play, and now I'm popping up on YouTube a little bit over here too. So you can be popping that over here. And if you're wanting to come onto the show sometime about giving certain opinions or anything like that, just be sure to contact me at the Darian Jackson Show info@gmail.com, and I'll respond to all those different emails that come on over there for us. So thank you all so very much, and have a good rest of your Friday.